This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to Alpena City Council meeting of April 17th, 2023. Please rise for the pledge.
I call the order.
Call the order. I'm sorry. Call the order.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Here.
Councilmember Nowak.
Here.
Councilmember Walchuk.
Here.
And Mayor Waligora is excused.
Now please rise for the pledge. Thank you. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Yes.
Councilmember Nowak.
Yes.
And Councilmember Walchuk.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Any modifications to the agenda?
Ma'am.
Approval of the minutes. Any issues? Nope. Okay, Citizens appearing before council on agenda and non-agenda items shall be allowed a maximum of 5 minutes each to address their concerns. This is the only time during council meeting that citizens are allowed to address city council except for a public hearing on Culligan Plaza. So if anyone has anything to say, state your name and address.
Hello, Mark Hunter. You've never seen me here before. I live at 614 8th Street. A comment on the sign ordinance. One thing to consider at some time when you're making permit fees is that signs under this ordinance not only have a permit fee, but under the personal property law, signs are personal property and you have to pay personal property tax on what you've already paid a permit fee on. So when you hear people talking about government taxing on taxes, I don't know how many other things have a permit fee and then have personal property tax on top of it. That maybe there are a few like that. Maybe there's more than I'm really aware of. That's all.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else? Charlie, anyone online? Okay, we're going to move on to public hearing. This is 2023 MEDC-CDBG Public Gathering Space Initiative application. We're going to open the public hearing.
All right. So in January of 2023, the MEDC opened the application process for Public Gathering Spaces Initiative, PGSI grants. This grant will fund improvements to increase usability, accessibility, and seasonality within new or existing community spaces on publicly owned property. The PGSI will create and enhance recreational places that will allow residents to gather, relax, celebrate, and commemorate. The grants can range between $750,000 to $2 million and require a 10% cash match. Applications are due April 28th, 2023. When council approved the most recent Culligan Plaza renovation plan to move forward, staff began to look for funding opportunities. We believe that the PGSI grant fits the Culligan Plaza project perfectly. Given the higher range of grant amount requests, staff also considered upgrades outside of the plaza itself and into the parking lot. In addition to the improvements proposed within the main plaza, we have increased the scope to make repairs to the curb and pavement, as well as improve the pedestrian area within the parking lot to make it more accessible and draw visitors into the plaza. These improvements were part of the original larger scope envisioned by the landscape architect during the design process. We have also added a small public restroom facility at the south end of the parking lot near the DDA building. Though much needed, restrooms centrally located within the downtown were never really considered for this project. We have elected to include them due to the larger range of available funding and because they are specifically mentioned as a suggested project within the grant application instructions. The proposed project is estimated at $1,185,550. We anticipate receiving approximately $75,000 from the First Federal of Northern Michigan Legacy Foundation towards the water feature and would be required to provide a cash match of $118,555. This cash cannot be ARPA funding, therefore we would provide it from the general fund. And I guess to be considered later after the public hearing, it's my recommendation as city engineer that council take the following actions to allow staff to submit the following applications in pursuit of the MEDC-CDBG Public Gathering Spaces Initiative funding. And so I have that there for you to consider, and I guess we open it up to public comment.
So we're going to open it up to public comment. So if you have any comments on this project, please approach the podium and give us your name.
I have a question for Steve, but that would now be an appropriate time to ask.
Yeah.
Or wait for public comment.
We have council discussion.
Council discussion.
Okay.
Anybody online, Charlie? Okay. Then I'm going to close.
Any written?
Oh, I'm going to close the public and then I'll ask Anna, were there any written comments?
I've received none.
So I'm going to close the public hearing. Council discussion.
Oh, now,
Now.
okay. I'm just curious about the restrooms. It's a wonderful thing. And I'm just curious, how many do you think there will be? Will it be enough, they be enough to accommodate the traffic that we get downtown?
Well, I think anything is going to be improvement, really.
Agreed.
We're looking at 2 family-size restrooms, so you could have 2 available at any one time. I would envision that, it would be a pretty small facility, not, nothing like what we're doing at Bayview, nothing architecturally fantastic about them at all. They're going to be, a bathroom, a downtown bathroom, and it's much needed, and it's just a good opportunity to try and get them down there. But I think 2 is about what we can afford, I think, really, as far as space and money, so.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Nope, no other comments, not from me. Anything from you, Dan?
I personally think this is a fantastic project and I'm glad that we applied for the grant. So if there's nothing else, a motion to approve the resolution.
I move we approve resolution 2023-07 for Public Gathering Spaces Initiative and authorize the city manager to sign as our authorized official.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution 2023-07 and to have the city manager sign. Anna?
Councilmember Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilmember Noah,
Yes.
Councilmember Walchuk,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to the consent agenda. On the consent agenda, bills to be allowed in the amount of $287,649.15 and authorized Mayor Waligora and Clerk Soik sign. Approval of resolution number 2023-06, which establishes the public hearing date of May 15th, 2023 for the proposal for the fiscal year 2024 budget, and C, application from Sanctuary Cinema LLC for a development a Class C license to be located at 101 South 2nd Avenue, Alpena. 7, be recommended for approval by the Michigan Liquor Control Commission.
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Councilmember Noah,
Yes.
Councilmember Walchuk,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Yes.
And Councilmember Mitchell.
Yes.
Oops, we have a proclamation today for Arbor Day. So I will read that. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas the trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Cindy Johnson, by virtue of the authority vested in me as Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Alpena, do hereby claim April 28, 2023 as Arbor Day. In the City of Alpena, I encourage all area residents to celebrate Arbor Day in our community and support the efforts to protect our trees. Further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to promote the well-being of this and future generations. Signed at Alpena, Michigan, this 17th day of April 2023. Okay. We have report of officers. This is a request for the state of Michigan to include funding in the 2023 budget for pension.
Thank you. So the City of Alpena retirement system is 73.6% funded as of the valuation date of June 30th, 2022. Our anticipated contribution into the system for 2023 is $1.215 million, which is an increase of $180,325 from the 2022 city contribution to the system. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that? No, it is a lot. Okay. So you can look at, I've included B1 through 2 and E1 from the annual actuarial valuation report. So that just shows kind of what goes in to the calculations on the contribution, and also just some historical information about some of our contributions. You can see that it has gone up quite a bit over the years. So if you look back at when, I believe in 02, we didn't contribute anything because we were fully funded. I'm making an assumption there. And then we've gone all the way up to 1.215 million this year in a contribution. So you can see what an impact that has on our budget. So over the years, we have closed the retirement system to new employees in some union groups and delayed or eliminated projects that are vitally important to our community. And this is all to keep our retirement system and our city solvent. Despite those efforts, our pension expenses continue to increase due to 2022 market losses and a volatile and unpredictable 2023 market. This trend is not sustainable for the city of Alpena. So when passed by the House a year ago, I put into the packet House, I think I did. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. In the back, there's House Bill 5054, which originally included both the $750 million to be divided between communities with pensions that were funded at less than 60%, and it also included $250 million to be divided by communities with pensions above that, so communities like the city of Alpena. And those communities that are above that 60% are following the state's best management practices. So once that legislation was passed in the House, but once it reached the Senate, that $250 million was pulled out. And we believe, in short, that we have the same financial issues facing those communities that are eligible for that $750 million in relief that was allocated in the 2022 budget, and believe that the city of Alpena and other communities should receive revenue to keep our retirement system stable and the city of Alpena solvent. So it's my recommendation, as city manager, that the city of Alpena officially requests the state of Michigan include funding in the 2023 budget for communities with pensions that are at least 60% funded. And I've given you a recommended motion, and we have attached in the packet City of Alpena Resolution 2023-08. for your consideration.
For staying on top of this.
No problem.
Questions for Rachel?
I think just a comment is that we've all, at least Mayor Pro Tem and myself, have worked hard along with the city manager trying to do everything we can from an investment standpoint to lower the contributions over the last several years. And it's disheartening when you work that hard and you see that you're doing much better than a lot of the funds are across the state. And, they're willing to help out those that have, really not doing so well. I understand that, but, I think that, we should reward some of the people that have been working hard as well and continue to do that. And our investments are going to come back. We've just had a couple of rough, unpredictable years as well. So that's the only comments I have.
So I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I move that the city council approve City of Alpena Resolution 2023-08 and authorize Mayor Waligora to sign and submit a letter along with a resolution to Senator Michelle Hoytanga and Representative Cameron Cabot.
Councilmember Walchuk,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilmember Nowak.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And under report of officers, we have third quarter fiscal year 2023 financial report. Anna.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So this report is at March 31st, and we are 75% of the way through the budget. In the green section in the revenue, our original budget was 11.3 million. We have amended that to 11.5 million. And so far, year to date, we've taken in 8.5 million, which equals 73.96% of the budget. We are about 400,000 ahead of a year ago at March 31st, 22. So some of the variances, the general government function looks good at 90%. Public safety is at 56%, and that's because police revenue within this function is at 146% of budget. It was because of school liaison revenue that we received that wasn't budgeted for. I'm not quite sure what happened there. It must have been an oversight in the budget. But it's the ambulance transport fees that are low due to the annual reversing entry, and also are running about 54,000 lower than last year. Public Works looks good at 78%. Community and Economic Development is at 125% of budget. That's elevated due to marijuana revenue for licenses and permits, and also zoning fees received are higher than budgeted. Recreation and Culture is at 1.55%. The majority of that revenue, 419,600 of it, is anticipated for grants, none of which has been received. It is projected that 100,000 of this will not be received in this fiscal year and will be corrected during the budget process. So we are still expecting to receive 319,000. Transfers in is at 2.24%. The majority of that is from the ARPA fund for a couple projects that we have moved to the next fiscal year. So we were supposed to receive 506,000. And if we were to take out that, if I was to take out the grants that we expected to receive, we would actually be at about 78% overall. So that makes it better. That will all get fixed during the budget process. On the expenditures, general government is high at 81%, and that's due to the annual payment to the pension fund and to OPEB. Public safety is under budget at 71%. Public Works is at 59%. That is low due to capital projects that haven't been expensed yet. Health and welfare is at 100%, and that's because there's no budget. That was a newly created function. We had to put the contribution to the Humane Society under an expense, so we put it in health and welfare, specifically animal services. Community and Economic Development, it looks good at 69%. Recreation and Culture is at 26%. Of the 908,000 budgeted for capital and parks, only 33,350 has been expensed. Transfers out is at 50%, 57%, and that is low due to no transfer to the building inspection fund. That's actually a good thing. That means that they are able to survive on their own so far, which is the intent of the building inspection fund. So overall, total expenditures are at 66%. We had originally budgeted to be at 11.9 million. We amended that to 12.2. So far, we're at 8.1 million. So we're higher than the actual last year. Down at the bottom, we had originally projected to use 608,000 of fund balance. We amended that to 727,000. And I can tell you that the budget that I'm going to present in 2 weeks, we've taken that down to 457,000 negative. So far, we're good at 390,000 revenue over expenditures, which is it's 100,000 less than last year though at this point, but still positive. So that's good. Any questions on that page? Nope. All right, cash balances and investments. The major street fund and local streets, those are both elevated. With major streets, we've only spent 42% of our expenditures and only 28.5% in local streets. So those are kind of built up for spring and summer projects. Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, we took 10,000 out of there. It was transferred to the general fund for admin expenses. The DDA, those two funds were combined. That's why the number 5-1 has 0. Building inspection fund, like I mentioned, there's no transfer yet. Hoping there won't be, but we'll see. We did budget for one. Building authority debt is low because we're trying to use up the cash in the bank account instead of transferring funds from the general fund. Sewage and water are both elevated, and it's the same thing as the street funds. In sewer, we've only used 29.5% of expenses and 28% in water. And again, those are built up for spring and summer projects. Stores fund is negative. That is one that we will transfer from the general fund to correct that at year end. It has to be 0. The general fund, that balance is about 500,000 over last year, and we're attributing that to the fact that we collected more taxes as compared to last year since the taxable values increased. And as you know, they've increased again for this upcoming year, so you'll see that in the budget presentation. American Rescue Plan Act, we received the second tranche. I think it was back in November. That's why that's elevated. Cemetery trust, the beneficial interest is higher because of the transfer that we had to do. I'm working on that with Patrick Harrigaty from the Community Foundation to figure out if that was truly what needed to happen. And so far he's finding out that yes, it was correct. So, but he's checking more into it, and if it is wrong, he said we are able to get those funds back. So we'll see.
Thank
See what happens there. The equipment fund is high. It's like 300,000 over last year's balance. We've only spent 39% of the budgeted expenditures so far for this fiscal year, but we do have some upcoming purchases that are going to take it down, like the salt truck and another one next year. So stay tuned for that. Retirement fund is down. These are book values. We're at 23.9 million at March 31st, 23 as compared to 25.3 a year ago. For comparison, the book value at 12/31, so just 3 months ago, was 25 million. So it's dropped 1.1 since then. The market value increased though. It was 27 million on 12/31 to 27.1 million on 3/31. The retiree healthcare fund is higher than last year, and that's mostly due to the fact that we make an annual payment every July. The book value at 12/31 was 2.12, so that dropped, and we're now at 2.0 million. The market value increased from 2.12 million on 12/31. It's now 2.17 million on 3/31. So a little bit of good news there. Any questions on the cash balances and investments? Okay, the last page. Okay. Overall, we are at 5.4 million in book value and only 5.2 in market value. Hopefully we'll see that increase. We are making some changes. We're seeing some better interest rates because interest rates are up. Leland's actually working on one right now. The really low one, it's at 0.31%. We're working on swapping that out with a higher interest rate investment. Any questions on that page? No? Anything overall? No?
Anything out there that is concerning you?
Well, just that large increase in the pension payment.
Yeah.
That's gonna really take a toll on our budget next year. Yeah, 1.2 million. It is what it is. I mean, a lot of it is due to the market, and then also we had some large retirements in last fiscal year that affected that. Yeah.
Right. Receive.
Motion to receive.
So moved.
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilmember Nowak,
Yes.
and Councilmember Walchuk.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And bills up. This is first reading of ordinance number 23-488, which amends the City of Alpena zoning ordinance, Article 2, construction of language and definitions, and Article 4, signs. And
Thank you. This is the amendment to the City of Alpena zoning ordinance, and section 2.1 definitions is hereby amended to repeal all definitions related to signs and replace with the following definitions related to signs. Just a quick comment, Montiel and Denise Klein spent a lot of time on this, and kudos to them for putting this all together. I'd like to say that I put it all together, but I did not. So, but what they found is with a number of amendments, we just thought we just need to get rid of the old one and put in the new one instead of trying to make all the changes that were anticipated. So that's why this is just to repeal the old one and to start a new one. So the first couple pages are all just definitions of the voluminous number of different types of signs that we have. I guess I didn't realize we had this many, but when you read through it, you see, yep, there are quite a few different types of signs and designs of signs. This also amends Article 4 and with the same way, it's hereby repealing and replacing the following things. Section 4.0 is just the purpose of the sign ordinance. Section 4.1 is the sign permit procedure and enforcement. There are certain signs that are prohibited as well. Section 4.2 just refers to general sign standards. Section 4.3 lists some district regulations for certain signs. And there's basically the chart there that shows you what type of signs you can have in what type of district. So they're not all the same throughout the city. There's certain areas where you can have signs and certain areas where you can't. So temporary, or section 4.4 is definitions regarding temporary signs. Section 4.5 deals with wall signs and basically the square footage of those wall signs, but also the percentage of the overall square footage of that side of the building that you're going to have a sign on. Section 4.6 is regarding projecting signs. Section 4.7 deals with any type of marquee or awning signs. 4.8 is message boards. So we're starting to get more and more of those. They're becoming more popular and more businesses are starting to use those signs. 4.9 refers to off-premises signs. Section 4.10 refers to murals. And I think as people know in the city, we're starting to get more folks that are wanting to do murals on their buildings. And we have eliminated them from being a sign technically, but they still do require a written approval of the zoning administrator. So you can do one. It's not a sign, but you still need permission of the zoning administrator to do it. And then section 4.11 is just a severability section that says if for some reason one of these provisions were struck down, all of the other provisions will still remain in effect. And the effective date of this will be upon the expiration of 7 days after the publication of the notice of adoption. So there is quite a bit of information in here. This is just the first reading. So I don't know if any members have specific questions today or any specific suggestions for changes. I thought, I was going to say, I thought Montiel was here, but I didn't see her there. So if you have questions, direct them to her, please.
There was one typo that Cindy found in section
0.4
4.4, a residential.
on C, there's an extra word in there. It says square footage limit does not shall be increased. So does, it doesn't say does not, it says does. So does needs to be eliminated. Outside of that.
Okay.
I am glad to see that we made an exception for during political season, election seasons, that people are allowed and not limited to the number of, well, they are limited, but they can have more signs and we won't be patrolling and maintaining, and staff can have peace. Those were my only comments. Anyone else?
No comments.
Okay. So D is first reading 23-49, which amends the City of Alpena zoning map. And Bill again.
This is an amendment to the City of Alpena zoning map. The City of Alpena zoning ordinance map is hereby amended as follows. Parcel located at 312 Huron Street shall be conditionally rezoned from R-2 to R-T to allow for the legal conversion of the property to a duplex. And there will be specifically a statement of condition. The owner of it wants to make it into a duplex and live downstairs. This would also be effective upon the expiration of 7 days after publication of notice of adoption. And once again, if there are any specific conditions or specific questions related to it, I believe Montiel would be able to answer on behalf of the homeowner.
I have no question.
Questions?
So we'll move on to first reading of ordinance 23-490, which amends the City of Alpena zoning map. Bill?
The City of Alpena zoning ordinance map is hereby amended as follows. The parcel located at 1224 North 2nd Avenue shall be conditionally rezoned from B-1 to B-2 to allow for the legal addition of a banquet hall to the facility. And the statement of conditions that will be recorded indicate that the owner requested to conditionally rezone 1224 North 2nd Avenue from B1, to allow all B1 uses as well as B2 food-related uses, such as an assembly hall, a banquet hall, a conference center, catering service, food service, and the like. And this would also take effect upon the expiration of 7 days after publication of the notice of adoption. And once again, Montiel would be able to answer any questions related to this one.
I have no question.
No, everything was answered within them, so no questions.
So we're going to move on to new business. 2023 utility system topographic survey bid recommendation, Engineer Steve Shultz.
All right, on April 11th, 2023, the city received an open bids for the 2023 Utility System Topographic Survey Project. Due to new asset management requirements by the state of Michigan, the city will need to provide EGLE, the regulatory agency for water and sewer systems, with an accurate accounting and location of our distribution and collection system. The water valve location portion of this inventory has been requested by EGLE this year at some time. They were talking like in August, and we asked them to kind of delay that if they could, so we could get it to them. But with the knowledge that additional reporting for all the utilities will be expected in the near future, and in an effort to save overall costs, additional pricing was requested to locate both the collection, distribution, and storm systems all at once. Bids were sent to 12 firms as well as posted on the city website, with 4 bids received as follows. And they're listed there between Huron, Fishbeck, Lewis & Lewis, and Gordy Fraser. So we had a couple locals and a couple from out of town. Huron Engineering has successfully completed topographic survey work for the city in the past. The company has a thorough understanding of the extent of the work which needs to be completed and has adequate staff to meet the city's requested schedule to accommodate the EGLE deadlines. The city has adequate funds available in water and sewer to complete the entire survey at one time. Based on review of the bid, is my recommendation as city engineer to award the 2023 Utility System Topographic Survey to Huron Engineering for the lump sum price of $67,384. It seems like a lot of money to spend all at once, but we're talking every valve, every manhole, every catch basin, every hydrant is going to be collected in this data, and we'll have a GPS location on every portion, and we can, or every piece, and we can then display those on maps. Right now everything's hand drawn, still is to this day is hand drawn. Maybe it's in CAD, but it's still not. It's still hand drawn. We're just picking a location. Yeah, the valve's about here. And with this kind of thing, it satisfies EGLE's requirements, but it's going to help us into the future with all kinds of things. I mean, these things will be GPSed in. We can go out there with a tablet in the middle of winter and point, where a valve is to be shut off, as opposed to looking in hand-drawn maps for locations and measuring off corners of houses to find these valve locations. So this will help us out greatly in a lot of different aspects. It's been something that we've been talking about for probably the last 10 years, and it's just never come to fruition. And now it's a requirement by the state. So I guess it's the natural time to, push through and do it.
Is there a way, Steve, that moving forward, you can update these different GPS things when something is re-put in and rebid or slightly moved or anything like that?
Absolutely. That's what we'll be doing is once, your GPS system, your GIS system is only as good as the data you put in it. And this is kind of the start. And once we do that, and we ask for GPS locations of all of our as-built projects, you give us those locations. And so we'll go in and update those going forward. So, yep.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Questions, ma'am?
Anyone else have questions? Okay, a motion to,
I move that we award the 2023 Utility System Topographic Survey to Huron Engineering for the lump sum price of $67,384.
Thank you.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilmember Noah,
Yes.
Councilmember Walchuk,
Yes.
and Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
yes.
Motion carried.
Next up is Alpena gas and fuel bid recommendation. Shannon Smolinski, Harbor Mass.
On April 11th, the city received an open bids for the purchase and delivery of recreational gas and diesel fuel for the city of Alpena Marina. These products are sold dockside by the city as part of the marina operations to visiting boaters. The bid documents were sent to 4 local firms with 1 bid received. The results are below. Because of the continual fluctuating prices of rec fuel and the diesel, the suppliers are requested to give us a base bid for their markup. Plus they gave us what they consider the rack price that day that the bids were asked for. In addition, prices are also requested for anything that we ask for below minimal fills and after hours, Sundays, holiday deliveries. As Crystal Flash is the only provider, their markup is 22 cents per gallon delivered to the marina. Additionally, this price is below the state purchasing program of 25 to 35 cents, which is actually the same provider, Crystal Flash. One other local provider contacted us after the bid deadline and requested to be able to still submit their bid. Additionally, we spoke with another one of the vendors and they were unable to bid at this time. Is therefore my recommendation as the harbor master to award the supply and delivery of our recreational gas and diesel fuel for the city of Alpena Marina to Crystal Flash from Grand Rapids for the markup of 22 cents plus the base delivery price at the time of delivery.
So I really don't like single bids.
I know you don't.
I do really appreciate the report, though, that you put together, at least showing where the state program is. It's a little confusing at times when you think, okay, it's still Crystal Flash supplying that, but willing to do it a little bit less. Who is the current supplier?
Blarney Castle.
The other bidder that,
They contacted us later that afternoon and said, oops, we forgot.
yeah. Myself is, I think I have a little bit of a record of never liking a single bid, on this. And I always think that when we have a single bid, even though we've got some markup data here supplied by the same, I'm always afraid that we're going to get to the point where we've got one person and we don't have anything to compare it to. If we were to deny this, can you tell me what that would look like, or how that would harm if we decided not to go with this bid and maybe have it re-put out to bids later? What would that look like?
As far as just supply right now, we're not in a spot where I need to take a delivery. If I did, I could possibly, we have a purchase offer or purchase order ability where I could go through and actually take fuel that way. I do have some in the tank for the little bit we need this time of year. I believe we can you guys can recommend if you want to just deny this bid and rebid it. If there are ramifications, it could be from Crystal Flash that their numbers are public at this point in time.
Yeah.
And they would not be real super happy with us probably. But that is completely up to you as council.
And that contract is for a 1 year period?
That is a 1 year period.
And do you have an idea of how many gallons we went through last year?
We go through about 15,000 of rec gas and 16,000 of diesel fuel typically. Right now.
That's all the questions I have. I really appreciate your thoroughness on your reports. The information that you're providing and the information that you have to kind of go back with that. I'm assuming we've never had anything after hours or anything like that, because I know you don't like spending extra if you don't have to.
Yeah, typically not. Last year we did have some instances where it was convenient for us because of the size of the fuel delivery that we needed, in particular our NOAA boats and stuff like that. We'll sometimes pump 600 and 700 gallons of fuel. Mm-hmm. And we did ask Blarney Castle at that point in time to come after hours and put the fuel in the tanks, which they did.
Overall, it made sense.
It made sense for everybody involved. It's a lot of work on our little system to put 700 gallons in a big boat like that. And they are more, they were accommodating to us to do that.
What do you want to do, Mike?
No other questions, Madam. Personally, where I'm thought, I'll just let council know where I'm at. It's like I don't like a single bid and stuff like that, but everyone has equal opportunity to get their bids in on time. And I understand people are going to make a mistake. The thing that I was disappointed in is, you're right. Once you put your bid out there, it's all of a sudden you're almost fourth, and it's just not fair. We have the deadlines and everything else to bid at the right time. So I'm going to move forward, myself. I just wanted to make sure that, I just don't like these. I don't like a single bid, but that's what my thoughts are.
You have a motion?
That's not a motion yet. I'll let you make that.
Okay, I move that we award the supply and delivery of recreational gas and diesel fuel for the city of Alpena Marina to Crystal Flash of Grand Rapids, Michigan for the market price of 22 cents plus the base price at time of delivery.
Second.
Councilmember Nowak?
Oh man, I would be first. Yes.
Councilmember Walchuk,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
No.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Yes.
motion fails.
Leave it out. Look, I wasn't too on this time.
All right.
Next, we have the ambulance fee schedule revisions with Chief Edmonds.
Good evening. Every year annually, we discuss with our billing agency, Mobile Health Resources, our ambulance fee schedule, and this year was no different for us. In discussing our ambulance fee schedule with the contracted EMS billing provider, it was suggested that we review and update our current fee schedules for ambulance service as we are undercharging for some of the levels of services we currently provide. Third-party insurers like Medicare, Medicaid, and Blue Cross establish allowable fees for ambulance services and publish those revisions annually as they change. By not adjusting our rates and underbilling, we are essentially using tax monies to subsidize commercial insurers' profits and leave us with less revenue to operate from. Any allowable increase assists in our long-term sustainability to provide key essential EMS services to the community for the future. One fee that is suggested we add is a treat no transport fee for patient refusals. Those incidents are costing us a significant amount of resources and overtime to handle these requests that we currently do not charge for, but it is allowable under current guidelines. Additionally, we are seeing a significant increase in requests for treat no transport or refusals at adult care facilities, hospice clients, pendant activations, and even motor vehicle accidents than ever before. It is suggested that we create a fee for treat no transport to help recover some of our operating expenses that we currently do not collect for. Just to give you a little idea on numbers for that, because I know somebody's going to ask. We ran a report as of today, and in the last 365 days, we have responded 777 treat no transports or patient assists that we've done. Of those, 215 have been treat no transport against medical advice. So basically, these are patients that we're suggesting you go to the hospital and be checked out because you have significant injuries or illness. We've had 38 that by protocol, they were able to refuse treatment or transport at any point in time. We've had 368 that were canceled before we ever arrived on scene. Usually these are car deer accidents or property damage accidents where there is no injuries. It literally is just a property damage accident. Assists, we've had 141 patient assists. These patient assists are basically citizens that need assistance from the house to the car or car to the house for medical appointments. Those currently we do not charge for. We do have it built into our fee schedule for a public assist, which is $175. We don't charge those people because it gets very expensive. And usually these are our elder population that don't have real good income or insurance. If we took the 353 treat no transport AMA and treat no transport per protocol at $250 each, we'd be looking at an additional revenue of about $63,250 extra dollars into our revenue for the year. So currently, with talking with medical Mobile Health Resources, they said basically our public assist and our treat no transport fees, they don't qualify for the $200 county resident discount. They said that's not something that's allowable under Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Medicare, Medicaid rules at that time as well. So based on the proposed adjustment, we recommend the following ambulance rate increases be approved and effective July 1, 2023. And you can see those up on the screen there. The only one that's a significant increase is the treat no transport because we haven't had that fee before. And we did increase our ambulance standby for profit events of $25, which is about a 25% increase. Obviously, you know, over the last year or so, we've given raises to the crews outside the contract of 15%, plus an additional 12% under this contract alone. So we felt it was warranted to be able to increase that a little bit more. That really doesn't affect the county because those aren't being billed to patients. Those are billed to for-profit organizations. So snowmobile races, those type of things. When they want us there, that's the fee that we would charge them per hour. So our interlocal ambulance agreement with Alpena County requires that we secure their approval to raise ambulance fees by more than 5%. Some of these rate increases do exceed the 5% allowable, and I'll need to present those also to the Alpena County Courts and Public Safety Committee for final approval, and then by the full board of the Alpena County Commissioners before the effective implementation date, which I'm hoping would be July 1 with our new budget. So for me, I would recommend that you would move and approve the ambulance fee schedules proposed to be effective July 1, 2023.
The no transport, I just want to find that a little bit for the public, for myself. You get on scene, somebody calls an ambulance, you treat somebody, and then they refuse transport even after you do that. You provide the service of at least treating the visible injuries that they would have.
Correct. A lot of times what this is, we get called for somebody who falls. We get there, we do an assessment, we make the recommendation that they go to the hospital. If there's any open bleeding or anything like that, we would address that. We do have patients that, you know, they could have a fracture and they still do not want to go to the hospital, and we can't force them. So all we can do is make that recommendation. So Connie, who is our billing resource, I guess you could say, she's kind of like the guru around the medical billing. She said pretty much every other organization charges for those because you are committing resources to that incident, which sometimes it can be 30, 40 minutes sometimes to treat for the patient. Another incident of that would be somebody who's got low blood sugar. We have a lot of diabetics in the area. We go there, we start an IV, we give them dextrose. They come to and they're like, there's no way I'm going. So we've got all those resources into it and we don't bill for it right now. So
in all of those cases, you provided some type of a treatment.
Correct. And there's a drug box restock fee that we have to do because of the medications that we use and the supplies.
Yeah, and that's understandable.
So there's an expense.
But like on the, I just want to clarify on the ones where you're called off service. In other words, a deer accident where there is no, you're, paged out and they cancel you on the way out. You just turn around. There's no fees for that.
Nope, nothing. In order for us to charge, according to what Connie has instructed me, is if we go there and do any type of assessment at all, we're allowed to charge for that service.
All right. So you're providing the service of the assessment and, let me take a look at you. Let's see what's going on. But if somebody stops you right at the very beginning and just says, no, I don't need any.
Yep. That's a cancel. We don't bill for that at all. The other thing is with auto insurance, if you have auto insurance and you have medical insurance, they bill the medical insurance. Medical insurance is going to say it's an auto issue, so auto is going to pay for it. You've already paid that in your premium. So we just don't recover it right now.
Yep. And all of those, I'm surprised we haven't to this point because all of those, what you're providing a service. This would also cover then those other example that you gave where you're going to a medical facility to lift, and currently we're not charging for those.
Correct. So what we're getting some adult foster care facilities who only have one or two staff on in the evening, for instance. They can't lift the patients, so they call us to just lift them up and put them back into bed. So they're getting paid to provide the service and they're relying on us to do their bulwark, if you will. So this will allow us, because we come and actually do an assessment before we put them back into bed, to charge for that treat no transport. And we would also contact all those adult foster care facilities and such that have been utilizing us for that service to let them know that there would be a charge going forward. Mm-hmm. So then it's up to them what they do with it, because they do have staff that should be able to do that. So
I have a question about, okay, all right, about the elderly that you mentioned, I believe you said it was an assist.
Correct.
And would we be charging this fee
no.
Or you want to exclude them from this group?
Yeah, so they're not a treat no transport,
right?
Because what happens is they just need assistance getting into their vehicle to take themselves or have a family member take them to the hospital. So we have specialized equipment.
Right.
They have a broken, let's say, pelvis or a leg. They can't get up and down. So we use our stair chair. We just help them get into the car. They call us 15 minutes before they're ready to go back into the house. We assist them into it. Okay. So to me, that's a service. Yeah, we're not charging for the public assist at this time. So.
Cool. That makes me happy.
Me too. Makes me really.
But there still is a service to what we provide. There's still service there. So.
Service.
Yep.
No other questions for me, then?
Well, I did have a question.
Yes.
On the public assist and the no treatment, and they don't get the $200 county discounts.
Correct.
What happens if they don't have insurance?
So if they don't have insurance, the billing company has assured me that we have to treat them just like any other claim, and they do take them to collections.
Okay.
So they process that through the collections agency.
Okay.
Some of those we do right off. I can't tell you that we always do because we can't pick and choose. They have to actually request it.
Okay, so there's an avenue for that.
Correct.
Okay. I'm good.
Good information.
Any other questions?
No, ma'am.
I move that we approve. Should I?
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, that we approve the ambulance fee schedule as proposed to be effective July 1st, 2023.
Or
Councilmember Wolchek,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilmember Noah.
Yes,
Motion carried.
I think that's it, man.
Move that we adjourn.
Third.
You got her doing the third now.
Yeah.
Well,
You're working.
We gotta have fun.
up the side here. Someone's got to.
Third.
I kind of, my tie failed. Or two.
I was thinking, it's like,
Price is so